No one talks about what cortisol is really doing to your belly fat, or how it keeps your insulin sky high even when you eat clean. What I'm about to say may get me silenced, but it needs to be heard. This hidden hormonal link explains why so many can't burn fat, even on keto. When you fix this, your body starts working for you again. This statement alone might get me shadow banned, but I'm gonna say it. Belly fat isn't just fat. It's a hormone factory, and the industry knows it. Visceral fat is a type of highly inflammatory fat that wraps around your precious organs. It creates pressure. And you probably never heard this before, but get this. Your visceral fat has 2 to 3 times more cortisol receptor sites than other areas of your body with fat. What does that mean? Visceral fat sucks up cortisol like a sponge. You see, it becomes more sensitive to cortisol, which causes you to gain more visceral fat. And the more cortisol those fat cells absorb, the more insulin resistant you become. This creates a deadly loop that nobody's talking about, including your doctor. Here's how it works. Cortisol and adrenaline rise. Visceral fat grows. Visceral fat becomes more responsive to cortisol. Cortisol goes even higher. Insulin then follows, so insulin increases. Fat burning shuts off, and belly fat grows. This is what I call the cortisol insulin death spiral. And the reason nobody wants you to understand this is simple. Your belly fat is profitable. Your metabolic. Now let's get to the solutions here. How do you find the right balance? Let's discuss the cortisol insulin fix. This is where your body finally cooperates with you. Fix number 1, stop eating 3 hours before bed. Look, after sunset, insulin sensitivity plummets. Any insulin at night shuts off a very important fat-burning anti-aging hormone called growth hormone. One of your body, it's probably your number 1 important fat-burning hormone. As a result, so when you shut off and don't eat at least 3 hours before bed, you lower nighttime cortisol, you lower nighttime insulin, you get deeper fat-burning sleep, you produce more growth hormone, and fat burning is restored. Fix number 2, the 3 a.m. cortisol fix. Talked about this issue a few minutes ago. If you are waking up between 1, 2, 3, or 4 a.m. feeling wired and tired, you can't go back to bed, this is the solution. You want to consume 1 tablespoon of raw honey and a pinch of sea salt. Here's why this works. The glucose gently feeds the liver overnight. Fructose refills your sugar reserves called your glycogen stores. Sea salt stabilizes your electrolytes. The brain never hits the panic button. Cortisol stays low, insulin stays low, you stay asleep, and fat burning continues all night. You could do this little trick here right before bed, the 1 tablespoon of honey with electrolyte sea salt, or in the middle of the night when you wake up. Or you could do it both times. This one hack has saved thousands of metabolisms. Fix number 3 here. Walk after every meal, or at the very least, after your biggest meal of the day. A 10 to 20 minute walk lowers your glucose and insulin levels after that meal by 30%, and it moves sugars into muscle without the use of insulin. This means less insulin, less cortisol, less visceral fat storage, better sleep, better recovery. Your fix number 4, balance your fasting with your feasting, especially getting enough protein. I mentioned how much I love fasting, but too much could be a bad thing. So as long as you're getting enough protein during your eating window, continue fasting. You want to balance it out. So how much protein should you get? You want to aim to get 1 gram of protein per pound of your ideal body weight. So if you currently weigh 200 pounds, but your goal weight, your ideal body weight is 130 pounds, then during your eating window, you want to consume a total of 130 grams of protein based off of this example. As long as you're doing that, keep fasting. If your window for eating is not big enough, you don't have enough time to get that protein, you might want to do less fasting and throw in more feasting. The other thing I would add is to throw in a 24-hour fast once a week once you're hitting that protein requirement. Now, obviously, you're not going to get enough protein on that day, but you'll get it on the other 6 days. A 24-hour fast will drop insulin, activate cellular cleaning called autophagy, boost growth hormone, and improves liver function. It's a great reset to do once a week once you're getting enough protein. Fix number 5, replace your chronic cardio with sprinting. Look, 1 20-second all-out sprint can raise your human growth hormone levels by 450% for hours and improve insulin sensitivity. That's super cool. Human growth hormone is cortisol's natural antidote. Where chronic cardio raises cortisol, sprint bursts lowers cortisol long term. So 20-second all-out sprint, 2 rounds, do that twice a week maximum. Fix number 6 is the best supplement in the world. It automatically lowers cortisol, puts you in an anti-inflammatory state, heals your hormones, heals your immune system. It's called vitamin G. This isn't woo. Vitamin G is vitamin gratitude. Second you feel gratitude is the second your body produces oxytocin, which lowers cortisol. There are numerous studies to back this up. This isn't woo-woo. This is mitochondrial biochemistry. Gratitude literally changes your hormonal output. So I hope you understand that your hormones aren't broken, they were hijacked. Now you understand what most doctors don't explain. Visceral fat hoards cortisol. Cortisol raises insulin. Insulin blocks fat burning. Chronic cardio makes it worse. Nighttime cortisol makes it worse. Stress makes it worse. But you are not broken, your hormones were just misaligned. Fix the cortisol leaks, fix the insulin resistance, and fat loss becomes effortless. Insulin resistance is silently storing fat around your organs and wrecking your energy. And I fixed mine faster than any doctor said was possible without medication. Look, if you feel foggy, inflamed, and tired after eating, you need to hear this. These 5 shifts saved my metabolism and could save yours too. Look, before I found these tools, I was in the worst shape of my life. Look at these photos. I was obese physically, obese mentally. I had erectile dysfunction, high blood pressure, inflammation, tired after eating. I was completely inflamed. Then I applied these 5 shifts, and in just a few months, I looked like this. This is my transformation. Here's the after photo for those watching on YouTube. I lost 80 pounds of fat. I went from 34% body fat to single-digit body fat, completely transformed my health. That was 18 years ago, and I've kept it off because of these 5 easy shifts. Let's start with the first shift I made. Look, this one shift might reverse your insulin resistance faster than keto and fasting. Snacking, even healthy snacks, is the number 1 driver of high insulin. Why? Because every bite of food ignites an insulin response. Even keto snacks, even almonds and nuts and seeds and protein shakes and kombucha drinks, heck, even your handful of berries. And most people are spiking their insulin levels over 17 times a day. That was me. I was thinking I was doing something healthy by snacking and grazing and keeping my metabolism revved up. I was actually teaching my metabolism to be a sugar burner. And over years, this destroyed my metabolism. You see, when you're snacking and grazing, your metabolism never rests. You're burning sugar, not fat. And you know what's crazy? My doctor never asked me how many times I was eating throughout the day. There was never a discussion about even the term insulin resistance. He simply said, hey, we have some medications that could lower your blood pressure and lower your blood sugar. Oh, you have erectile dysfunction? We also have a medication for that. He thought I was crazy, 23 years old, sitting in my doctor's office. I'm explaining all these symptoms. He didn't believe me. He gaslit me. Have you ever been gaslit by your doctor? It's not a good feeling. So I simply just ate 2 or 3 full meals per day. I stopped snacking in between those meals. And you know what happened? I had more energy. I started burning fat and I slept better at night. Not to mention a lot of my digestive issues, which I had a ton of, bloating, gas, diarrhea, that started to improve almost immediately. The second shift that I adopted is I stopped eating at least 3 hours before bed. So no more late night dinners or late night snacking. And this one made a huge difference for me. Stopping food at least 3 hours before bed was one of the fastest insulin reversing changes that I ever made. Here's why. I found out that after sunset, insulin sensitivity plummets by like 30 to 50%. So by eating these late night meals I was in the habit of doing, or even snacking too close to bedtime, I would be spiking my blood sugar levels much higher than if I ate that same meal or snack earlier in the day. And what most people don't get is that any spike in insulin, especially at night, shuts off a very important hormone called growth hormone. This is your body's number 1 fat-burning hormone. It's also an anti-aging hormone, a muscle-building hormone. I don't know if you knew this, but people pay thousands of dollars every month for their doctors to inject human growth hormone because of all the benefits. When you get it injected, there are side effects. Well, you can get a natural increase in human growth hormone when you just close the kitchen, stop eating 3 hours before bed. That's exactly what I did. When you eat too close to bed, not only are you shutting off human growth hormone, your liver can't detox. Your liver can't repair, and it can't burn fat while you're digesting food at rest. So I was constantly waking up foggy, puffy, and hungry. And I explained this to my doctor. I said, Doc, even though I've been in bed for 8 hours, I still wake up feeling unrested, hungry, and angry. Hangry. And never did my doctor ask, are you eating too close to bedtime? What are you having at night? This was a self-discovery on my end. So the first week that I stopped eating 3 hours before bed, here's what I noticed. My morning blood sugar levels improved. My deep sleep skyrocketed. And that is important because deep sleep is where you actually burn the most fat. You burn more fat and use more calories during deep sleep and also REM sleep than at the gym working out. I also noticed my inflammation dropped. My lower back, my achy knees and joints, that improved almost immediately. I stopped waking up starving and I finally began burning fat while I was sleeping. So I woke up in the morning, looked in the mirror, and I had a slimmer stomach, slimmer waistline. So your action step is no food at least 3 hours before bed. If you go to bed at 11 p.m., kitchen should be closed by 8 p.m. at the latest. You want to do this to give your body a runway into fat burning mode. The third shift I started to apply is that I walked after every meal, especially after the biggest meal of the day, which for me was dinner. I think this is the lowest effort, highest leverage habit that I've ever adopted. Simple 10 to 20 minute walk after my meals accomplished the following. I lowered my glucose and insulin response from that meal by 30%. By going for that walk, I moved a portion of that glucose into my muscle without the use of insulin. So this prevented these post-meal crashes and fatigue I used to get, which relied me on getting a snack or something with sugar to keep my energy levels up temporarily. This also pulled fat from my liver. It reduced inflammation, helped tremendously with my digestion, and it also helped tighten my appetite later on. See, when you go for a walk after a meal, it creates a sponge to absorb the glucose, so your body, your pancreas, doesn't have to produce as much insulin to clear that glucose. Super cool. You see, you can literally reverse insulin resistance with one single decision after every meal. Don't sit down, go for a walk. So your action step here is after all meals, go for at least a 10-minute walk. Now, if that's impossible because of your schedule, then what I want you to do is after your biggest meal of the day, go for a 20-minute walk. Oh, you'll notice a difference right away. The fourth shift that I made is that I implemented a 24-hour water fast once a week. This was like a reset button for my metabolism and my insulin resistance. By doing a 24-hour fast once a week, I was able to drop insulin to its lowest weekly point. I was also able to activate a cellular cleanup process called autophagy. This is a very important process if you have insulin resistance or if you're overweight, because when you have insulin resistance, your little battery packs within your cells called the mitochondria are not able to produce enough energy and burn fat efficiently. So autophagy, which is activated during a 24-hour fast, also activates something called mitophagy. I want you to think of Pac-Man going within your cells, cleaning out junk, fixing mitochondria that are damaged, not producing energy or burning fat, and replacing them with healthier cells and healthier mitochondria. This also repairs dysfunctional cells. It reduces overall inflammation. It improves liver function, boosts mental clarity. And I spoke about that very important hormone called human growth hormone early on, how it's a very important fat-burning hormone. Well, I realized that studies were showing there's a 2,000% increase in this very important fat-burning hormone, growth hormone, after a 24-hour fast. Now, that's in men. What about you ladies out there? Still a huge increase. 1,300% increase in human growth hormone in women after a 24-hour fast. You see, this one shift gave me a breakthrough I never got from what my doctor suggested is just eat less and move more. So your action step, after you've mastered the first 3 shifts, is to add the 4th shift and incorporate a 24-hour fast once a week. Choose any day, and you will go either dinner to dinner, lunch to lunch, or breakfast to breakfast once a week. I typically did this from Sunday to Monday, where I would be done eating at 6 p.m. on Sunday, and then I would fast until Monday at 6 p.m. Now, what did I have during that window? I just had coffee and tea and unflavored electrolytes. No food, no snacks. You add this to your protocol, you will accelerate your results, and I did the same thing. Now let's discuss the shift number 5 that I started to implement after I mastered these first 4 shifts. I was feeling so good and so energized, less inflamed, I started sprinting. This is one of the fastest ways to achieve insulin sensitivity. And no, my doctor never suggested, why don't you sprint? Look, you don't need hours of exercise. You don't even need a gym membership. You just need 20 seconds of high intensity sprints. One 20-second sprint can raise human growth hormone by up to 450% for hours after the sprint. It increases insulin sensitivity. It activates something called mitochondrial biogenesis. What does that mean? That is the creation of new battery packs within your cells, of mitochondria. The more battery packs you create, the more energy your cells produce. The more energy your cells produce, the more calories your body burns just sitting on the couch. This lowers visceral fat, the fat around your organs. It balances cortisol and improves mood and energy. So the routine that I follow that I want you to adopt after you've mastered the first 4 shifts is to do a 20-second sprint. And when I say sprint, like all out effort, like you are running for your life. And then you rest for 90 seconds after that 20-second sprint. That's one round, 20-second sprint, 90-second rest. That's one round. You do 3 rounds of that, only twice per week is needed. Now, if you have bad knees or a bad back, or you can't do sprints, you could do it on a bicycle, or you could do it in a swimming pool. That all works. And this isn't about weight loss. It's about teaching your cells to use fuel again. See, my doctor was so when I had insulin resistance and obesity, my doctor was so focused on teaching me to lose weight. His philosophy was, I need you to lose weight so you could be healthy. And I discovered that's actually not how the body works. You don't lose weight to get healthy. You get healthy to lose weight. These 5 shifts help you get healthy, lowers insulin, lowers inflammation, and the weight comes off as a side effect. You know, one of the biggest realizations I've ever had is that I actually never had a weight problem. You don't have a weight problem. It's a weight symptom. The real problem is inflammation and hormones, and these 5 shifts tackle that at the root cause. What's incredible is that it doesn't require willpower. It doesn't require counting calories and no medication as well. And most of these options are completely free. I want you to know that insulin resistance doesn't mean your metabolism is broken. It means your timing, your habits, and hormones need correction. So do the 5 shifts. Stop eating before bed. Stop snacking in between meals. Walk after your meals. Do a weekly 24-hour fast and sprint once or twice a week, and watch what it does to transform your insulin resistance, your fat loss, and your overall health. These shifts saved my life, and they could save yours too. Now, I'm going to
Do you have cortisol face, where your face is round and it's coming from stress, not your diet? When your body has too much cortisol, it robs the proteins from your legs and your butt and turns it into fat around your midsection. It also puts it around the face, giving you this roundish face. One of the best antidotes to lowering cortisol is something called L-theanine. It increases alpha brainwaves to help calm you down so you can get into a really nice deep sleep and sleep through the entire night. L-theanine also increases GABA and serotonin, as well as melatonin, which is the sleep hormone. The best time to take L-theanine is about an hour before you go to sleep at night.
If you have a belly sticking out, you have a problem, because the fat that's in the stomach, that's called visceral fat. This is very detrimental fat, and that's the epidemic that we have today. But the only thing that will make you lose that fat very quickly is fasting. Now, this is crucial. Glucose actually is toxic inside the bloodstream, and the body pours insulin into the bloodstream to push glucose out. But frequent consumption of carbs, sugar, processed foods is causing insulin to stay up, which can lead to insulin resistance. And you're going to be more prone to heart disease, which is the #1 cause of death all over the world right now. But this is where fasting comes in, because after 12 hours, you start pulling the fat out. And the first place the fat comes out of is going to be visceral fat. But with modern living, we have lost this physiology of fasting. So we'll go into that.
And there must be certain things which people aren't aware aren't healthy as it relates to my cardiovascular health.
Yes. So I see that people who overly do aerobic activity, they end up with more coronary artery disease than patients who do short sprints and resistance exercises. Then there's mold, and almost 70% of homes these days have some form of mold toxicity in them. But also, one night of bad sleep, you become insulin resistant the next day. And there's calcium supplements, excessive fruit, white rice.
White rice?
You'll be surprised how much arsenic there's in rice these days.
I watch a lot of true crime. People kill each other with arsenic.
Yes, and it'll slowly kill you. And lastly, this is going to surprise you.